All right, fight fans, welcome to the first edition of Tarps Off MMA. I'm one of your hosts. There's three of them. I'm Chris Mancuso. I am joined by Jack Gotzel of TarpsOffSports.com and Terry Tam of HotSauceSports.ca. We are major fight fans. We have Fight Island 7 coming. We have a ton of stuff to run through. But boys, first off, I want to say is how's everybody doing? What's going on?
Good, buddy.
Doing
Good, man.
great.
Thanks for having us on. Thanks, man. I'm fucking pumped.
Yeah, man, I'm pumped to do this podcast with you guys. I think that right now it's one of the golden ages of mixed martial arts right now. There was that time of transition, from the days of GSP Hughes, Chuck Liddell, Tito Ortiz, like all those guys. Who was the heavyweight title holder for the longest time?
Randy Couture.
Randy Couture, exactly. All those guys,
Brock.
There was a little transition period, right? But right now you got Izzy, you got Kebab, as I like to call him, Khabib. Not a Khabib guy at all, but we'll end up talking about that a whole bunch over the next few months, I'm sure. Not a Khabib guy.
How can you not be a Khabib guy? How can you not be a Khabib guy?
He's a wrestler that's beat up a bunch of strikers before. His early career numbers, I know he's got the 29-0, but he wasn't fighting the best of the best then either. His dad liked to control some of his fights from what I've heard. And you know what? He has the most hardo fans in MMA, and I love wiring them up. So nothing's funnier than calling him Kebab and saying that GSP would rinse him. Because when people talk about, that would be the GOAT fight. He's not in the GOAT conversation.
Yes, he is.
No,
I would say he's in the GOAT conversation.
100% he is. If he's not one, he's three.
He's not one. Look at the champions that GSP beat. How many champions? How many world champions has Khabib beaten?
So this is the thing.
Not enough.
Nobody's beat Khabib. That's the thing about Khabib is you say that his early fights might have been
nobody there.
Padded, but the reality is that he beat everybody now. Everybody's like, oh, look who we fought when he was 8-0. Who cares who we fought when he was 8-0? Look who we fought when he was 28-0.
Let's see what Conor does with Poirier in this fight, because everybody knows that his big knockout, his big finish was Conor McGregor. Everybody knows Conor was off the fucking rails then. Look at the photos of them going into the fights. I love Conor. I'll take a bullet for Conor. If Conor and Khabib were in the same room and their crews went at it again, I'd jump right in and go right after the whole Khabib Team Eagle. I can't stand those guys. They stink. Khabib's overrated. Can't stand them right off the hop. I already got half of the MMA world disliking me, and I've been going at these people forever. Now we just have a forum to keep doing it.
I could see you going after Daniel Cormier in Khabib's entourage.
Yeah, absolutely. Daniel Cormier is another fake news, another guy who just
You're fucked.
Oh, I mean, I'm talking about when it comes to being one of the best. John Jones rinsed him so many times, but I will say. For a guy who's gotten beat twice, I've never seen a guy who has lost to the guy twice live in the guy's head. Jones can beat someone, and there should be someone else he should call out, but instantly he's like, "Yo, DC, where you at?" It's bro, you already kicked DC's ass a million times. It's only twice, but it feels the both fights. He might as well beat him 10 times. He would beat him 10 times out of 10.
John Jones
Cormier could never catch him.
John Jones knows that DC is the best matchup against him. That's why. And he's like, 100% John Jones knows that. 100%. And DC, to me, honestly, you're going to maybe hate on me for this. I think he's the best heavyweight of all time. I really do.
No. Whatever division Jones fights in, he's the best all time. So once he goes into the
he hasn't fought there yet. I'd agree, but he hasn't fought there yet.
He's going. Everybody knows he's going.
Do you really think John Jones would beat Stipe?
Yes.
At heavyweight?
Yes, I do.
Yes. Dude, I don't care if he goes. I don't care if he goes in there 30 pounds less than him. John Jones is the most technically gifted mixed martial artist on this planet, maybe since Bruce Lee.
I would agree with that.
The thing is, Jack,
I think
takes nights off. John Jones doesn't. And John Jones, if he takes that night off, he's still the second best fighter in the world.
Stipe ain't taking a night off versus John Jones. I don't care if he had a long firefighting shift the night before. He's knocking John Jones out if you put John Jones
You
in the ring
can't
with him.
knock John Jones out.
Nope,
That's
that's
insanity.
never gonna happen. Never. If Stipe wins, it'll be a boring 5-round wrestling fight.
I watched John Jones get pushed the furthest of all time live in person, Toronto, Ontario, Jones versus Gustafson, one of the best fights in UFC history. And a couple of those shots, if those didn't knock Jones out early in the fight, he ain't ever getting knocked out by nobody.
Mhm.
That guy has an iron jaw. He's the prodigy of the sport. He's like Anderson Silva, but like I think better. I think John Jones is the most technically gifted fighter. I think he is the most technically.
OSP gave John Jones somewhat of a hard
Yeah,
time.
I don't know. Did you see John Jones's body that fight?
Yeah,
I mean,
dude, like John Jones didn't even train.
They
Like,
didn't even
he
give
was
him
up to
trust him
heavyweight.
to
they
anymore.
didn't give him enough time to
Yeah.
get off the juice. Like he needed time to get off the juice first.
Yeah, that's the tough part about the juice, right? You gotta come down, and then
Yeah,
like, there's that.
I've taken it. It's great.
Oh, 100%.
Yeah.
Same. And then there's like that fucking, like you got to do your testosterone recovery time. So yeah, maybe not enough time to come off the sauce for him, but TRT, I think they call it.
Did you
but
like
yeah.
John Jones' tweet a couple months ago? Like, if I took steroids, then like
Yeah,
pulled
dude, it's
the,
like when
O.J. Simpson.
like when OJ Simpson wrote the book If I
If
Did
I
It,
did it,
which was just the play-by-play of how he killed his ex-wife and that fucking dude, right? It's the same thing. Listen, I mean, obviously, no, you guys know it. In the MMA community, there's no bigger hardos than Khabib fans. So I just like wiring them up. Obviously, he's
I
great.
think Connor fans are up there though. Like especially
Connor
when
fan,
Connor was
no,
on his
like they're not
on
hardos.
his run. Yeah,
They're not hardos as much as they'll like suck his dick. Like
yeah.
they'll like gas him up. You know what I mean?
It's true.
Those guys,
That's a good point.
Connor fans, like Jack. Look at him. He's Irish from Boston. He's got a half boner because you said
I'm looking
Connor
over at
already.
Connor's poster.
Dude, you have a photo of Connor over top of your bed on your ceiling. He looks down at every act you've ever done.
It's a
in that
poster in my room.
No, it's on top, and I bet you there's a mirror at the side. I bet you it gets like Boston guys, Irish guys, any MMA guy that has even an ounce of Irish blood will give Conor McGregor a hand job, 110%. That's just a fact.
Jack has a poster on his ceiling, and he just rubs one out every night to Connor.
110%. Connor's seen him do everything in the world like that. Only Connor's eyes in the poster know what Jack's into. But I'll say this, Connor looks motivated. I watched the stuff with him. He's toned down the drinking. I think he's going to finish Poirier in round 1. We have a whole other episode next week to cover that fight, but I'll give out my prediction early. We'll see. I think Khabib has to go for 30-0, and I don't think there's anyone else he should fight on this planet than a motivated Conor McGregor, and we'll see.
I think White would agree with you.
I think Khabib fights. I don't think he'll ever fight GSP. I don't think GSP's coming out of retirement.
No, it's too late. It's a couple.
I think he'll finish
years
30-0. Yeah, I think he'll finish 30-0.
Like, when GSP came back and took the title from Bisping and then didn't come back again?
Yeah.
I wish Khabib would have had the title then, because I think he would have came and just fought Khabib.
No, it's because he fought at that weight because he knew it was a good matchup for him.
Well, Bisping was always gonna get smoked by GSP.
And
like, no offense to
he
Bisping,
knew he didn't have to
like
cut
him.
weight. Yeah, but now GSP's walking around like at 165. He's thin.
Yeah.
He's been
Where
cutting a lot of weight.
It used to be different. He used to walk around at 220 and cut down to 170. Like I was explaining to Jack, like everyone in Canada knows, like the George St. Pierre weight cut and then bulk back up in a ring has never been done like that.
Never.
Chris
like,
Weidman.
No, even more. I'm telling you, even more. And I love Weidman.
Anthony Johnson.
No, man. Remember when
Throwing my
GSP
challenge flag.
walked in the ring versus, I think it was Hendricks or whatever. I remember Chael Sonnen started calling him Juice St. Pierre. Like, he was fucking yoked to the gills.
Anthony Johnson fought
Rumble.
at 170.
Rumble?
Yeah, Rumble Johnson. Yeah,
I loved Rumble.
He fought at 170. To fight at 170, you see how big he was? He weighed like 230 pounds, and every time
so did GSP. He was 225.
No, GSP wasn't that big. I've seen GSP in person. We have the same jiu-jitsu instructor. He's a 5'10". I'd say he's like 5'10", close to 5'11".
What fucking place is he training at that you're training at?
Gracie Baja, Montreal.
That's where you go?
No. So he doesn't train. Yeah, I've been there for 12 years.
I didn't know that.
I'm a brown belt. Yeah.
Oh, I didn't know that. See, now this is why we have episode 1. We're all just feeling it out. Now we knew we were big MMA guys. I didn't know you had a brown belt.
Yeah, I was there when he got his black
competed?
belt. I used to compete. Yeah.
You were there when GSP had it got his black belt?
I was also there when he gave his manager Rodolphe his black belt too. GSP is he came to the school a few times. He doesn't train there because it's not what he trains at TriStar mostly. But he'd come a few times and he trained, but he wouldn't train with any like of us. Like I was a blue belt back then. He would just roll with the black belts.
Okay, well that
Super nice
makes
guy.
sense. That makes sense.
But he's not that big. He's probably 190, 195. That's it.
Really?
This
I mean,
was when he was a chap.
yeah. So you were training then. Now, how long you were doing competition? What's your record? What's your record in
Oh,
like some
it's not good. I'm
jiu-jitsu
probably like at
contests?
five. Probably like I'd say 10 wins, 15 losses. Like nothing.
Okay.
I've won one tournament and that was it. And
Okay,
the rest,
that's not
yeah,
bad.
I finished second a few times. Yeah, it's not bad. I competed for when I was a white belt, never won as a white belt. And then blue belt, I won once. And then I competed a few times. At 1 year, I competed like 6 times at purple belt. And then at brown belt, I never competed.
Yeah, my old roommate used to go to like California for tournaments, and he was a blue belt, but he was only like 155 pounds.
Oh, yeah. My school, Gracie Barra West Island, it's a subset of the one downtown that GSP was at, that GSP got his black belt from, is that we have a huge competition team. Our team travels all around the world.
Yeah, man, same thing from the guys here, which is awesome.
Yeah.
MMA is obviously such a huge sport. It's growing rapidly in North America, but you know, with COVID and everything right now, they've moved everything over to Fight Island. I want to ask you guys, I know the numbers from Dana's end of things aren't as bad with the fights kind of being in the afternoon when they're in Abu Dhabi, but how has that affected you guys as fans? Because for me, sometimes it gets in my way.
Oh, it's always on a Saturday, so it's fine.
Well, for me, it's kind of annoying because, like, you know, I'm trying to cover other sports for Tarps Off Sports during the daytime. In MMA, I always have, like, you know, my back pocket because it's always at like midnight, 1 in the morning. So
Right?
it cause kind of a pain in the ass because there might be another hockey game on. Like, we're gonna have the Bruins on during Fight Island 7, so like I'm gonna miss maybe some of the undercard for that.
Come
It,
on.
I'll be missing some of the Bruins game for the
Yeah.
undercard. I'll tell you that for free 99 here on Tarps Off
And it's not-
MMA. I don't give a fuck about game 2 of the season. Get that shit out of here.
And
Jack.
that's it. It's nothing against the Bruins. I mean, it's your team. You
No.
want to watch them, but
No,
it's game
but
2.
this
It's
is-
not like it's a
Yeah,
fucking important game.
This game 2. I'm watching the fucking scraps.
Jack,
and
get
I'm
your
gonna
priorities straight.
And guess what?
I'll be here for the main card.
Listen, I'm going to tell you guys something, man. We're all at Tarps Off MMA going to be ordering it legally. Dana White, Uncle Dana, put out a little warning to all the streamers out there that it's illegal, A, and B, he claims that he has a plan. It's fucking illegal, he says. He has a plan apparently that is going to shut that shit down.
What do you think it is?
I'll talk, or is he going to walk the walk? You guys let me know. Talk or walk here. Is Dana actually going to be able to shut it down? Can you shut it down? Aren't these people all in like Russia and like private VPNs and like commie crazy shit like that? Like, I mean, every stream I watch, like it seems like the writing's always in Russia when I was like a kid, but now I order the fights. But when I was a kid and the internet was first around, I used to scour around the sites to try to find fights for sure. I was broke then. I'm a fucking adult now. I just order the fight.
I mean, I remember when I was in college, like we obviously had Deontay Wilder in our college town. So like when he would fight, we didn't have the money to buy the fight. We tried to get some of those big fights, and boxing had found a way.
How did it feel watching Fury smack him?
We're not going to talk about that right now.
I'm a big Tyson Fury guy. That's my guy. Big Tyson.
I'm balls
Fury
deep
guy.
in
Let's
Tyson
go.
Fury.
Me
Roll
too,
Tide.
bro.
We're not talking about that
King,
right now.
The Gypsy King. He doesn't give a fuck. He was so fucked
The
up.
lineal
Bro.
champ.
What a story he is.
The lineal champ. Deontay Wilder. Oh man, I love Deontay Wilder. But
Me
talk
too.
About,
to this day.
to this
To
day.
this day.
talk about the most overrated
Scary.
boxer of all time.
No, dude, scariest guy ever.
Yeah, he's pretty
I'll
scary.
say nothing but good things about him on the odd chance we walk by him one day.
Imagine he sees me. He's like, "You motherfucker."
Yeah.
Said I was overrated.
I don't need my head sent to Mars. So let's keep it rolling here though. Dana White says the pirating is done for. Do you believe that? Is that even
Yeah, well,
possible?
like
Or is it
I was
fucking shit?
saying, boxing has put an end to it in some of the fights before. So like,
How? But I mean, you can always find
Like
it if you really try.
yeah, I mean, you can go to page 15 of Google. I've been there.
Mhm.
You can still find it, but I think he'll make it very difficult. I think he'll find a way to knock out those big ones that everybody knows, that everybody goes to. And if you want to get some of these fights, you're probably going to have to really work for it. I
That's a
think he'll make it more difficult.
I think he's gonna make it a shit ton
It's fair
difficult.
because
But
I want the guys to get paid, right? Like
yeah,
I
of course. But there's
understand
also,
why.
but listen, I think they make enough money to pay everybody. But
Yeah, but for
that's a
sure.
different episode. That's a different topic for a different episode. I think that it's the right thing to do because there's guys that are putting their product out there and nobody should get it for free, right? I mean, how would you like it if, let's say, you had a Patreon account and somebody was stealing your stuff and posting it out? You know what I mean? Like, there's all that stuff. It's like,
Yeah, you wouldn't like it, right? So
yeah,
I
of course,
understand it from a
exactly.
business
but
standpoint, but I
for
mean, he
Dana
was
White,
always going to get roasted by the MMA faithful when he came out. And he's like, "That's fucking illegal." Like
fucking illegal.
the memes were rolling in. I saw one. It was like roses are red, Khabib is the eagle. I can't afford the fights, but
It's fucking
and I
illegal.
want to stream it, but it's fucking illegal.
He's classic, man. I love Dana White. People get so much hate on him because he's a Trumper.
I like no, he's the
Yeah,
best. He's
yeah,
the
he's awesome,
best.
man.
If you're not a fan of Dana White, like I don't fuck with you. Like I love Dana White.
Do I think the fighters should be getting paid a lot more? Absolutely. Do I think that when people are begging for a $50,000 performance bet out of the night, and then that same night Dana White's posting a video of him on a yacht, like a fucking $70 million yacht, like in my head starts shaking a little bit. But at the end of the day, those fighters agreed to that money, and you agreed to that money. That's what it
Yeah,
is.
yeah, and it ain't boxing though. The money, like
Mhm.
people always say that like yes, they could be paid more, but it ain't boxing. McGregor's never going to take in the money in the UFC even close to what he got versus Floyd, even close to what he would get versus Manny Pacquiao, or even to a lesser degree, what's his name, Paulie Mangini or whatever his name is, the one that he dropped
Yeah,
in
the one he dropped in the
Oh,
sparring.
Paulie
in this
Malignaggi.
Malinagi, that's how you
Malinagi.
say it. Yeah. He dropped him. Like I think that fight would earn him more money than he's ever made in the UFC before. So, the sport ain't boxing. I get that they could probably pay a little more, but you know what? To be completely honest with you, this is as good as it's ever been for fighters ever. And there's a lot of great fighters. Matt Hughes, terrible what happened to him after his situation with the train. And, there's a ton of guys now, like post fight career, that didn't make a ton of money that are fucked. So I think they
It's
do pretty well now, all things considered.
For the most part, it's the guys coming in. Like if we're gonna talk about the card like this weekend, and I can probably tell you that like I don't know how much Ponzinibbio's making, but he's not breaking the bank. I mean, he hasn't fought in 3 years, and I don't know if it's gonna be if he's making 100K, if he's making 40K. We don't know what he's gonna make, and they rely on these bonuses, and a lot of these kids that coming out of Brazil, like 22 years old, signing $12,000 contracts to fight is crazy to me. Crazy to me because it's not the same as boxing. If you're an MMA, I mean, you guys know, you guys watch undercards all the way to the top. How many times have you sat there and watched every fight on a boxing card?
Not many times, to be honest with you. Like I'll usually take one off, especially if I'm going out to smoke one or
Yeah.
piss. Like always. Like where during an MMA fight, I don't get up. Like I get up in between because it doesn't matter who's fighting. It could be Holloway, or it could be like you said,
Well, their
that
value.
like one of the earlier fights, like what's his name, Dusko Todorovic.
Todorovic.
Yeah, like it could be him. Like I ain't pissing during that fight. I'm gonna piss
Yeah,
in between.
exactly.
Yeah,
Exactly.
that's going to be a
And
good fight too.
and that's where
Very good fight.
MMA is more captivating than boxing for me, right? And it's
Mhm.
just like I hope they get to the same level that boxing is internationally. But
Mhm.
the bottom line is in Russia, in Europe, in Eastern Europe especially, you're never gonna beat boxing.
Well, you're
MMA will
hating
never
on
be.
the boy that's trying to make it happen, Khabib, the Eagle.
Well, listen, Khabib is a dweeb. Connor will knock him out and make him 29-1 if they fight and he's motivated.
But
Okay,
who do you
we're
think
we're
is
gonna do
more-
No,
another.
not actually. He won't actually. I'm just being an asshole.
We're gonna do another bet here. We got to do another beard bet.
Oh no, I can't
Oh.
bet my beard ever again. I'm not allowed to do that anymore after what happened to me here. I don't have my fucking beard. I bet on a Canada versus USA game. Jack's from America. Terry and I are Canadian. I took the L. We got a silver medal, and I lost my fucking beard. I hate it. Back to fighting though. I honestly, obviously, Khabib is insane. I understand as a commentator and as a person putting his opinion out here. I mean, I've chirped him before, and people are like, "Oh, if you're so tough, you fight him." Then like, obviously he would kill me in 0.3 seconds, but that doesn't take away from the fact that when I look at his resume of guys and you compare it to John Jones and GSP and even the guys that I consider that GSP beat, with Hughes and Liddell and Rampage Jackson and
Never
like
followed though.
no, I'm not saying he fought them. I'm talking
Oh,
about
okay.
guys in general. I'm just saying their UFC careers aren't perfect, but the line of guys they had in front of them was impossible. You couldn't be undefeated then. There was so many great guys in every division. Like you weren't like
I
even
don't know. I
Sarah
think it's
caught
hard.
GSP. Even Sarah caught GSP, and then GSP came back, and you saw what actually happened. But
Of course.
back then, that was actually possible. Now these lower end guys, when a guy like Khabib comes through, they're never tagging a guy like Khabib. That can't happen. Back then, just the thing is the guys to step into the top class back then were just better. They just were.
Jack, you probably agree with me on this. I think that it's harder to be undefeated now than it is back then.
No.
I also think it's because there was such a big difference from the top guys to the bottom guys back then. Nowadays, it's like
I find the middle guys
more
are
skills.
Dude,
These
like
guys have more skills than they've ever had
the
before.
Dragon was like 4 and 5 forever. Give me a 4 or 5 guy in his weight division now.
Well,
and
you're talking. Whoa, don't talk shit about Machida.
I'm not saying that. I'm saying that like he even would lose fights and shit. Like he only had the title for 1 second, and wasn't it Rashad Jones ended him or whatever?
But that's the Jack's point, though. That's the Jack's point. Jack's point is that the top shell was really tough back then. It still is, but like the middle guys now are so much closer to the top than back then.
I disagree. I think
watch
the middle
every
guys
Ultimate Fighter from the first 5 seasons, and you'll change your mind.
Agreed.
Listen, I agree with that as far as an amateur competition goes, but I think as we get into the card and into the roster of the UFC, you're gonna have a hard time convincing me that the 06 roster is worse than the 2021 roster.
Well, a hard time. I'll convince it to you within the top 10 fighters of each era.
Well,
100%.
that's an episode for another day. But me as a fan, I find that it was much harder. You look at, okay, let's compare guys. Everybody wants to call Khabib the king, and I knew you guys were going to come at me for this. Give me the list of champion fighters he's fought in comparison to a guy like George St. Pierre.
I think GSP is better than Khabib. I'm not denying that.
But every Khabib hardo out there like laughs at that theory. Like they can't even believe that.
Because GSP has had fights where I thought he lost to Johnny Hendricks. Tough fight against Condit.
But John
hasn't lost one
Gustafsson.
round his entire career. One round. You know what that is to lose one round your entire career?
Who was he fighting though? Like look at the guys and compare them to GSP. Like I think there's like 7 title champions he fought before. 7 guys that held belts. Khabib doesn't even. Who do we got? We got Hughes, Sarah. He fought BJ Penn. He fought fucking.
Well, if we're talking about UFC titles,
yeah.
I think it's 4 guys, and then if you add Strikeforce, you add Nick Diaz there. Who else? Robbie Lawler. Did he fight Robbie Lawler? I don't think he.
He beat fucking.
No,
Bisping.
he never fought Lawler.
He beat Bisping. He beat. Who did he meet too? He met somebody for a fight one time. Who did he fight? Where he fought catchweight? He fought a catchweight fight too.
GSP never fought a catchweight.
Did he not?
I don't think so.
GSP?
I thought he fought one fight at catchweight.
I feel like he did too.
I think he did.
No, I'm looking right here. Welterweight, middleweight, welterweight, all the way down. Koscheck, no, that was a welterweight.
Koscheck, another great fighter. Like find a guy, find a Koscheck, find a fucking Hendricks, find a Hughes.
Well, you could argue that Edson Barboza is a pretty good fighter. I mean, come on.
He's not
because he never had the belt.
He's not Sarah. He's not Hughes. He's not even Bisping.
Justin Gaethje held a belt. I mean, he held a belt for what was it, Bellator? For a while.
No, World Series of Fighting.
Oh no, it was World Series of Fighting.
World Series of Fighting. Yeah, he didn't even have a Bellator fight. I'm telling you, you can't compare GSP and Khabib. There's no comparison.
I will say, looking at GSP's hit list, it is crazy to me.
It's way better than.
Look at
his at the beginning of his career when he fought Pete Spratt, Kara Parisian, when Parisian was at his prime. His first fight against Ivan Menjivar. When he won the belt, he went. Matt Hughes, Matt Serra, lost to Matt Serra. Koscheck, Hughes, Serra, Fitch, Penn, Thiago Alves,
Fitch,
Koscheck, Shields, Condit, Diaz,
Jake Shields.
But that's not the argument. The argument is the fashion in which Khabib did it, never losing a round, never really being in doubt. I mean, Michael Johnson rocked him once, and that's like it. And Khabib went on to destroy him.
I agree.
No, I mean, listen, you can argue till the cows come home. There's no lineup in front of Khabib that there was for GSP, not even close. The talent, the fights he had to go into. I mean, people, oh, he was a boring fighter. Khabib loves beating up fucking strikers with his
Both of them
wrestling.
were boring fighters towards the end of their career.
And that's, well, you know what? Boring fighting is smart fighting.
I don't know
I agree.
what the word boring fighter means.
Well, that's what I mean. It's
sometimes, yeah.
boring to guys like me and Jack, but someone like Terry, who's a brown belt in jiu-jitsu, and they're just wrestling on the ground. That's interesting to those guys, right?
I used to
Like,
call
so-
GSP the human backpack.
bro, he used to finish fights, and then
That's
he
what
just
Khabib is now.
learned, how to go 5 rounds, and that's what Khabib is now. Believe me, there's a reason why Khabib idolizes GSP. It's because GSP is the go. That's why he always says, if I could fight one guy, I'd fight the GSP. Like, he loves him
His dad always wanted him to fight GSP.
because they understood that he was the greatest of all time, and that's the measuring stick.
That's true.
So that's where my thing with Khabib comes, is his fans act like he's like the number one anointed guy, and it's like he's not GSP. He's not even John Jones. Like, believe me, he's good shit. But I mean, there was a lot of guys back then. You know, Chuck Liddell had an awesome career. Randy Couture had an awesome decorated career. There's more that goes into it than just your record, right? It depends who you're fighting, what kind of performances you put on, and shit like that.
And what you do outside of the cage, right, John Jones?
Yeah, or hide under the cage for 8 hours to hide from the drug test or whatever he did. Like, like GSP is one of the only guys too that, like, he's walked away and Khabib too. I'll give Khabib to his credit. They're like the two fighters that are like the most squeaky clean as far as like not being shit rats outside of the sport. I mean, I know Khabib has some shit with his manager or whatever, but I mean, as far as like, like none of them sucker punched an old dude in the face in a bar, as far as I'm aware.
No, not that we know.
Seems like a shot at Mike Perry and Conor McGregor right there.
Yeah. Very weird.
Well, hey, call it what it is. McGregor probably shouldn't have punched that old dude in the face.
It wasn't as bad as Mike Perry's.
No, Mike Perry's was awful. I remember.
Oh, Mike Perry when he beat the shit out of that guy.
Yeah, Conor was throwing a warning
The
shot.
old
Mike
guy.
Perry was looking to turn that guy's lights out.
Yeah.
Yeah. Connor was just like, fuck off, and Perry was like, tried to send his head to space, and the guy was like 60 years old. That was some violent shit.
Imagine like that old guy just like went for like full Bruce Lee and like flipped Mike Perry.
That would have been.
And
Well,
that
did you
would've
guys
went
ever
viral?
see the video of BJ Penn like trying to fight at the
course,
bar in
yeah.
Hawaii, and he got
Oh.
knocked out by like just some random guy?
So apparently there's like 5 minutes before that fight where they're just going at it and they're friends, these two guys. Like BJ Penn and that guy were friends and they were going at it and BJ Penn was destroying him, but he was so hammered that he ended up just gassing out.
Oh, so then he was gassed out, and Buddy just suckered him, and then he went to sleep because he was so gassed.
Yeah.
Because I was like, how does a former guy like BJ Penn, like, I know he ain't the same BJ Penn he was before, but how did he get slept like that? But that
BJ
makes
Penn
sense.
and his brother are brawlers, man. Even when they were kids, they grew up with money, but they lived in Hawaii. So Hawaii, you always have to fucking fight, and they grew up like just fighting every day with people.
Yeah, that's a lot of the story, right? Like Mike Tyson, fucking guys like that. It's like, hey, you could either go to jail beating some guy's ass, or you could learn how to fight professionally and get paid for it. It's better, you can buy a lot more money with fight earnings than you can in jail getting bologna sandwiches every day. But let's move the episode here into Fight Island 7. Let's go through the first fight on the main card, and who is that? Is that Soriano fight? Is that the first fight of the main card?
I don't think it's the first fight on the main card, but it's the top 5 fights on the main card, I believe.
Okay.
Yeah.
So Soriano versus Todorovic. Both of these guys like to go forward.
Somebody's always got to go.
They're both undefeated prospects. Winner of this is going to propel themselves and get all that hype that the UFC likes to bring on a young fighter. And one of these guys is going back to the back of the line.
Yeah, man, this is a huge fight for one of these guys. We'll see what happens. They both broke into the UFC circuit in the Dana White Contender Series as well. No? Did they not both come through the Dana White Contender Series in
I know
2019?
Soriano did. I don't know if Todorovic
Yep,
did.
they both came through the Dana White Contender Series in 2019. I'm telling you.
So Todorovic has
we
a
go.
much better hit list than Soriano does. If you look at it, I mean, even like 4 fights ago, he fought Michel Pereira. Michel Pereira is like a crazy fighter in the UFC right now, and he beat him. So he KO'd him. So like, there's things like that. Like Todorovic, I think he's a much more well-rounded fighter. He's probably going to knock out Soriano. I'm looking at honestly, I can see if I put money on that fight, there's probably good odds that tells you that he might be able to knock out Soriano.
Well, listen, for my prediction, I have Dusko knocking him out. I have Soriano getting knocked out as well. I have him getting knocked out in round 2. I think that's that's going to go. Jack, you look like you disagree.
Well, see, I have Todorovic as my winner, but I have in my notes here, if there is a knockout, it's going to be Soriano. I think Soriano has the bigger power. I think Todorovic is the more well-rounded fighter, like Terry said, and I think he'll use his will and he'll get a decision. But I don't see him knocking out Soriano. I think if there's going to be a knockout in that fight, it's going to be Todorovic that gets knocked out.
Okay.
But I'm picking Todorovic.
Yeah. I mean, I think that's the fight. That's the guy to pick. But like I said, betting man might be able to put some money on Soriano.
Okay.
Curious to see what they are now,
So
what the
who are
odds
you
are.
guys taking in this fight then? You're taking we're all
Todorovic.
taking Todorovic.
Yeah, I think so.
Okay. Next fight on the card here we have of the top 5 fights is Joaquin Buckley versus Alessio Deschrillo. I believe that's proper. My last name's Mancuso. I'm Italian.
Terry's
But
laughing.
is that not right?
The Kiriko.
No, that's not it. I think it's I don't think it's DeKiriko. I think
The
that's
CH?
I think
The CH is pronounced like a K, and the 1C is pronounced like a K also. The 2 C's is pronounced like a G.
I'm throwing
like
the
a SC.
challenge flag at the French
All right,
Canadian here for the
Google it.
pronunciation. We're gonna
Google it.
We're gonna look
We have
it
a
up.
huge
But
Italian community here. Trust me, I know
anyway,
a lot of
after
Italians.
closing 2020 with back-to-back wins in the space of 6 weeks, Buckley returns for another quick turnaround fight. Buckley's fought like what 3 times in like 12 weeks or something like that, 11 weeks or some shit like that. He's taken on the middleweight Alessio De Crilio, we'll call him.
DeCrilio. Okay, let's butcher his name.
Crilio.
Let's take him out of the country he's from too. All right.
Yeah, he's not even from Italy anymore. He went to like Eastern Europe or some shit. I personally think Buckley's going to knock him out. Now, if we're talking gambling, which we will in a little bit, we'll talk about that. But as far as like a prediction for just the fight, straight up winner, I'm taking Buckley by KO. I think he knocks him out.
It'd be tough to not pick Buckley. I mean, when I wrote an article this year, and it was on hotshotsports.ca, and it was my top, like my basically the best of 2020, and he's number 1 knockout for me. Like that knockout, you can't mimic that in a video game. You know what I mean? Getting ankle picked and then all of a sudden spinning heel kick right to the face. And all respect to the Bama native Impa there, but you know, it was bad. It was bad.
Oh, Impa got it. I mean,
Well,
I
believe
like
he's
him
from
a lot,
North
but
Carolina, but
Well,
he
he's
went.
a-
I do know him. I
he
do
went-
know
Okay,
him.
fine.
man.
He went to school with Jack at Alabama, and it wasn't roll tide in that fight. He got knocked out. It was.
But
vicious.
it's like if you get
It can
get
happen
caught.
to
It's just like
anybody, though, bro.
yeah,
It's
just like
anybody.
Terry Edom when he got caught by Edson Barbosa. You can get caught like that. It's the most freakish athletic kick you'll ever see in your life. You know what I mean? Like
Bro, anything can happen, bro. It's a fight.
You
like
can't train for
anything
that.
can happen. You
You don't
can't
train
train.
for that.
You can't train for the button getting hit.
Did you see what
if it gets
Buckley
hit, it gets
said?
hit.
In the media,
no.
he put the bulletin board material up. He said, "How do you pronounce his name? DeChico?
The Kiriko. Sorry.
The
He said-
Kiriko?
He said DeChirico's chin has been compromised. He said it was compromised in the 3rd round of his fight versus Zach Cummings, and that he's going to give him his first ever knockout because he's never been knocked out. So Buckley says that he's going to give him his first ever knockout. I believe the guy. I think he might be the next money fighter. I love it. He loves to talk shit. He loves to hype up the fight. It's hyped up now. He said his chin is compromised and he's going to knock him out. Let's see if he
Yeah, I got
has that
Buckley on
Mystic
that.
Mac power.
I want to see.
Buck-
I think he's gonna speak it into existence and knock him out.
Buckley is he's a good wrestler too. He's from O'Fallon, Missouri. That's like wrestling area.
Oh,
you know?
dude, I was gonna say Missouri's a huge wrestling
Yeah.
state.
So I mean,
Huge
Buckley.
high school, college.
I think
wrestling
Buckley's
state.
just gonna mollywop this kid. I really
Yeah.
do.
Yeah. Okay. So now we have, and I'm gonna fuck these names up in the 3rd fight. It's a welterweight fight. Santingo, Ponzibibu.
Ponzi
Ponzi-
Nebo.
How do you say it?
Ponzi Nebo.
Ponzinibbio, there we go, versus Lee
You didn't even get the first name right. You said like
Jingalang.
Santiago. It's
Santiago.
Jing
Santiago.
Liang.
Santiago. No,
Ponzinibbio.
dude, I was so worried about Ponzinibbio's last name that I didn't even call him Santiago. I'm like, Santingo? I was so worried about his last name. Like, obviously, that's Santiago. I knew
Versus
I was going to fuck
Jing
up.
Liang.
Jing Liang. Yeah, I know Li Jing Liang. Man, it's crazy, you know.
Jing Liang, his last fight against Neil Magny was a barn burner.
Well, both their last fights were versus Neil Magny.
Oh, that's a good point. Yeah, it's true.
One of them fought Mike Perry too, didn't they?
Yes.
I don't
Or
know.
did they both fight Mike Perry?
No, I just believe Ponzinibbio.
I think just
Mike Perry.
Ponzinibbio fought Mike Perry as well, because I remember that fight.
Mike Perry. Yeah, he fought Mike Perry in 2017. December 2017.
Was that the first fight when Mike Perry had fired his coaches, or was that the fight that caused him to decide to fire all his coaches?
No, he only fired his coaches like 2 fights ago.
Okay.
And now doesn't he have his girlfriend as his trainer?
I don't even think she was in his corner last fight. I think he went alone.
He's
the one where he
he's
didn't
a
make
fucking
fight
wreck.
and he was eating pizza and burgers.
Jack
and stuff.
blogged about what he did, and then Mike Perry put out a tweet like, "All you bloggers talking shit. Like, I don't care how small you are." He's like, "I'm basically gonna fuck you up." Like Mike Perry is gonna fuck Jack up one day. Jack's getting fucked up by Mike Perry, and that's gonna be awesome. Maybe we'll see that.
How scared is Jack gonna get if like Mike Perry switches his camp to like some school in Maine,
New Hampshire, Maine?
Yeah.
Like,
If I saw Mike Perry on the street, I'm immediately running. I'm not even thinking of.
If I'm
whether
with
he
you and I
recognizes
see
me or
Mike Perry
not.
on the street, I'd be like, Mike, he talked shit about you on a blog one time.
Mike, he said, what was the thing that happened? Oh, he missed weight and you were ripping on him for that. But then something else happened. Oh, he kicked the glass door. He kicked
Glass door, smashed his leg open.
Yeah, dude, I never thought that Mike Perry would lose a fight to a glass door on cuts, but sure enough, he did. But let's get back to the Santiago fight and Jingaling. Who do we got? Jingaling. I know, I'm fucking with you guys.
Jing Liang lost to Magny in his last
Yeah.
fight. Ponzinibbio beat Magny.
That was a crazy decision. That was a crazy decision.
That's true.
Ponzinibbio is I got him by unanimous decision on my
He
notes here.
really likes to come forward. I have him winning this via knockout. He's won 15 of his 27 fights by knockout.
Yeah, I got that on my list here.
I'm going opposite here. I'm going Li Jinliang. Li Jinliang is a
Li
crazy.
Jingliang.
Yeah, he's a crazy fighter. He's like nuts, like not well in the head.
Yeah, no, Jing Liang he's sporadic. I
He's-
watched some of his fucking highlight tape leading into this.
He's also a
leading into this
monster.
episode.
He's huge. Like
No, he's a big-
thick.
he's
a big boy.
Big
Yeah,
boy.
Dude,
Yeah,
he's a big dude. I mean, yeah.
it's a good fight. It's gonna be a
Being
good fight.
170 pounds, you're 170 pounds at weigh-in, but when you get into the ring, you're not 170 pounds. He's a
That
big
guy's
fucking
closer to 205, 210 when he
100%.
walks around.
Yeah, dude, he probably walks around. I was gonna say at 205 pounds. He's probably walking around at the fucking lightweight, fighting in welterweight.
Do you remember the hype though before Ponzinibbio took those 2 years off? Like he was rolling.
Mhm.
I think he's pissed off. I think early you see some ring rust, maybe round 1, maybe halfway into round 2, and then I think things just start clicking. for him.
Ponzinibbio and Jack and I, we have him, and you're taking your guy there,
Li Jinliang.
Li Jingliang.
Yeah, I'm actually making my bets as we speak, so I don't forget. 'em.
Jingling.
I'm doing a massive parlay at the end.
Oh,
That's awesome. We want to let everybody know that you can go to mybookie.ag and use promo code TARPS off season. That's SZN for our Canadian followers. You fucking hosers. No matter what, it's free money. 100% deposit bonus on every dollar uploaded. Second last fight of the night, guys. We have some former, I would call them almost like greats, not greats. I would say very, very good veterans. Maybe not greats. I love
they're icons.
icons.
call
icons.
Okay, good. I was gonna say they're greats, but like you look at their records and stuff, and they're not in the conversation of the best guys we talked about all time. I try not to use icon too loosely. Jack, maybe you. I'm gonna call them greats. Carlos Condit versus Matt Brown. Welterweight belt here. Saturday's co-main event is a fight. Obviously, longtime UFC fans have been waiting for. Each one. Who is it? Condit's 36 and Brown's 40. Is that how I remember it? I think Brown's older, right? Or is Condit older than Brown?
They're both on the back nine of their career.
I know one guy's 36 and one guy's 40. I just don't remember who's who, but I think Condit's 36 and I think
Condit
Brown's
is 36.
Okay, so Brown's 40. They're both veterans of the sport who've obviously careers have taken a downturn in recent years. Who was it? One of them beat Nick Diaz. Was it fucking
Condit.
Condit beat Nick Diaz.
It was for the interim title.
And who beat Wonderboy? One of them beat Wonderboy too. Was that Brown? Brown beat Wonderboy? Or was it Condit that beat Wonderboy?
Condit never fought Wonderboy.
No, so it was Brown. Brown beat Wonderboy.
Matt Brown beat Wonderboy when?
I think, was that before he fought Rory McDonald? But he fought Rory, didn't he? If I'm not mistaken,
they both fought Rory.
Let's see.
Who fought Wonderboy? Who fought Wonderboy? Because I remember Wonderboy fight. Dude, you know what's funny is Condit and Brown.
Matt Brown did not fight Wonderboy.
Matt Brown did fight Wonderboy, but it was a long ass time ago. It was in 2012.
I was gonna say, bro. That's back when I was here.
And Wonderboy beat him by decision.
Yeah. Yeah.
No, he beat Wonderboy.
No, he beat Wonderboy by decision.
Oh, sorry, he beat Wonderboy by decision.
Yeah, he beat Wonderboy. I was gonna say he beat Wonderboy. Oh, okay, you guys got
that was on the Jones Evans card. Holy
that was Rashad Jones and John Jones and Rashad Evans fight. Yeah,
Rashad Jones and John Evans.
Unreal.
Smoke another one, man, so you guys know what I mean. Anyway, I know you guys are big Carlos Condit guys. I'm taking the old timer. I'm taking 40-year-old Matt Brown in this fight. I like Brown to finish Condit. I think Condit's chin has been battle tested. I have nothing but respect for both of these guys. Absolute respect. Like we said, not quite icons. I wouldn't go as far as Jack did. I call them greats. They're not icons. Legends are the guys
Condit
that we're talking about. I'm going with Brown in this one. I don't know about you guys.
I think Condit's gonna mollywop Matt Brown. I really do.
I think Condit's gonna knock him out. I mean,
wow.
Matt Brown's chin is gone like your beard, buddy. It is gone.
Buddy, I know it might be a little soft.
But Condit lost 5 fights in a row before his last fight, which he won. Like both these guys should.
Condit's one. I was gonna say, isn't Condit like 1-6 in his last 7 fights or some shit like that?
He has 5 losses in a row.
They should both think about hanging up the gloves.
No, this has to be the last one. And then I want to break up the last fight, and then I want to talk about an old timer fight that we might be getting. But obviously, the main card of Fight Island 7 Fight Night, we have Max Holloway taking on Calvin Kattar of Boston. Obviously, Jack is excited for Kattar. He thinks he's going to win in this featherweight bout because he's from Boston. So we all know he's picking him. The Boston. You know what? The Boston kid is looking to prove that he is one of the elite fighters at 145. This is a big fight for him. Max Holloway, we all know what he can do inside the ring. How do you see this going, Terry?
It's a tough fight, man, for me. We spoke about it a little bit before, and it's hard for me not to pick Kattar because he's just a young guy, young bull. He looks so well-rounded, man. Like anybody he comes in front of him, he just destroys him. And Max Holloway is just a brawler, so it's tough to. Max Holloway can easily win a 5-round split decision just because he can take so many punches and he's able to. Max Holloway has the record for the most significant strikes in UFC history. History. And he's 26 years old. So
but he's not as technical as Kattar.
No, but four of his
Yeah.
last 5 fights have gone to a decision, but he's he's 1-3 in those fights.
Yeah, because he went up, he fought Dustin Poirier.
Yeah, it's not good if it goes to decision goes the distance for him.
Borderline beat Volkanovski last fight. I thought he won that fight.
I thought that was a bad decision too. I thought that was a bad decision. I know you guys are both on the Kattar train here. I know Jack, you'll give us your reasons, but I'm going to put my pick in. I got Holloway actually outlasting him in this fight.
Well, you see, Boston has not had a title fight since 2011, believe it or not, when Kenny Florian fought Jose Aldo. K-Flow. Boston needs this. Rob Font's coming up. I don't think Rob Font is going to be a champion, though. I think he's going to be a top 5 fighter. I think he's unbelievable. I don't think he's a champion fighter. Cater has the tools to do it. Cater's one of the best boxers in MMA. Cater's so technical. He's that straight right that can turn anybody's lights off. He only needs to land it once. I think he's going to try to keep this fight stand up. I think they both are. I think they both want to bang. And I think that's a bad decision for Max Holloway because Cater's straight right. If it hits you, you might not even remember it did.
Yeah. It was just like he brought up our buddy, friend of the show here, Lucas Body. He's 145, same thing. He hits like a monster. Cater hits like a monster. It's gonna be a brawl. I'm going different than you guys, though. I'm still taking Holloway in a decision here. Speaking of brawlers, UFC former great Diego Sanchez says his next UFC fight will be his last. He wants one more. Do they do Diego Sanchez versus Clay Guida, a final curtain call for both fighters? Do you guys want to see that? Because I personally do. That fight was like the epitome of when MMA was just kicking ass for me. I remember watching that fight being like, Clay Guida is a fucking maniac, and I'm pretty sure Diego Sanchez got the victory that night. But still, Clay Guida, Diego Sanchez, one more time. What do you guys think?
I mean, I don't really care for that fight.
Yeah, I don't want to see Sanchez fighting anymore, man.
Well, he's got one more, and Dana's going to give it to him. So we have to look past that. It's going to happen. He's going to get that fight. So should it not be Clay Guida?
It should be Clay Guida. Clay Guida's going to beat him.
Yeah, I wouldn't even be surprised if Guida wins. But that's the fight. It has to be Clay Guida. You got to do that again. If he's got one more fight left, you got to do it.
No, for sure, you got to do it.
I would rather see the brawls that they used to have in that Ultimate Fighter house back in the day on that season. Wasn't that the Ultimate Fighter 2 that those guys were on?
Wasn't Nate Diaz on
no, they were the
too?
first one. Sanchez was on the first one.
Was he the first one?
He won the first one, yeah.
No, I thought Forrest Griffin won the first one.
No, there's two weight classes.
No, it was...
The first season was 2 weight classes.
Oh, no, right.
Kenny Florian, Sanchez, Koscheck.
I remember Koscheck.
Koscheck was the second season.
Nope, Sanchez defeated Nick Diaz at the Ultimate Fighter 2 finale.
Two. Okay.
It was as if Forrest Griffin was one. He fought Stephan Bonner.
But there was 2 weight classes in the first one. There was 2 weight classes for a long time. Like they had a few of them where had 2 weight classes.
Oh,
they still do that every now and then.
Every once in a while, yeah.
Yeah, I remember. The last time I even watched the Ultimate Fighter, I think Kimbo Slice and Big Country Roy Nelson were on it. So
that was the best season, season 10.
And Matt Schaub and
that was the best season.
What's his name?
Brendan Schaub.
Brendan Schaub and
I'm a sucker.
Matt Mitrione. Matt Mitrione. That's what I was thinking of. Matt Mitrione.
Meathead, yeah.
On that.
Yeah,
there was a lot of
the big crybaby, the big black
guy. Big crybaby, whatever his name was. Yeah, he used to cry.
He played in the NFL.
Crybaby Davis or something, whatever his fucking name was.
Yeah, Crybaby Davis. There was also one season, the Rampage and Rashad season was one of my favorite seasons.
That was awesome when Rampage smashed the door. That was the same season. That was the same season.
It was the same season. You're right. Yeah,
that was the same season because Rampage took Kimbo first, and the first fight of the fucking for Kimbo was Big Country, who ended up winning the whole show, and Big Country just laid his fat ass on him and beat him, and like Kimbo wasn't even out or anything. He just like couldn't block it because Big Country just laid his gut on his head, and Kimbo didn't know what he was doing. I remember early in the fight, Kimbo caught him and almost finished him too. And Big Country went on and won the whole season. He knocked fucking Schaub out in the final.
Yeah.
I like that.
That was a good season.
He knocked him out bad. That was a great season.
I liked that McGregor season though with Artem and like him talking shit to TJ.
Uriah.
And Uriah
Faber. Yeah.
Uriah would be there all day in his flip flops, and McGregor would show up at night in his suit. Like he wouldn't even train.
Yeah. Oh, it was so funny, man.
Artem just throwing bombs.
But
Cody Garbrandt almost destroying Connor in that little brawl at the bench when he called TJ Dillashaw a snake.
He wouldn't, but he was right about that. Dillashaw is a fucking snake. He was right.
Oh, for sure, yeah.
And when Garbutt was shooting his mouth off, I remember being like, bro, like I know you're probably bigger than Connor in that, but like, sit down. Like that wasn't his time.
I can't wait, boys. I'm gonna be live tweeting this weekend.
Oh, live tweeting. We're gonna be live streaming, buddy.
We are?
I mean, me and Jack are. I don't know if you're going to be there. Come and live stream. We got we're going to be doing this card. We're doing the Connor card. Obviously, we're not going to talk about that. I mean, that deserves its own episode.
Yeah, that deserves its own epi.
We'll talk Connor next week.
We'll talk Connor next week. But boys, I think everything went great this week. I want to let everybody know that you can find Tarps Off MMA on Twitter at Tarps Off MMA. Jack, we can find you on Twitter at Jack Gottsell, JackGotsell. Gottsell. Terry, let people know where you can be found.
Terry Tam on Twitter. On Instagram, it's Hot Sauce Sports. Follow us there. But yeah, follow me on Twitter, man. I'm a good follow, and I'll talk shit to you if you talk shit back.
That's right. And I'm C Mancuso, MANCUSO 9797. Make sure you check out Terry Tam's hotsaucesports.ca as well as tarpsoftsports.com. We're looking forward to Saturday night's live stream. You'll find us live once the
Saturday day.
going. Saturday day. This one's day.
Yep.
I always say night when it's MMA. I'm like you, Jack. It's like my nighttime. Saturday day, we're gonna have some MMA coming in. What time does it start? 1 p.m. Eastern or something?
I think so, yeah.
Some shit like that. Either way, guys, you know when the time is. We'll fucking be there.
I always check the morning of, so.
Yep. Exactly. That's right. The morning of, that's how much time you usually have when you're running your own sports site. Guys, Tarps Off MMA, here to stay. Dana White forever, and kebabs overrated. We'll see you next week.